Trump has already had kind of a breakdown on Twitter about it, claiming that now there's all of these, illegal votes out there. Even though he won, there's
surprise.
Yeah, I'm like, you can't even admit that you won and just go with it, dude. Just stay off of Twitter. But yeah, Jill Stein is amazingly made it happen, and she also kind of went on her own little Twitter rant against Hillary and Donald. But at this point, I will take that as long as we actually get these recounts. Wendy, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thing is, if he thinks that so many illegal votes happened, why is he not supporting the recount? Because obviously, if there were so many illegal votes happening or people who shouldn't have been allowed to vote, wouldn't he want a recount? Wouldn't he want a fair election on there? That's my thought on it.
Let me throw it back over to Aaron.
I'm all for it. I think it's awesome that Jill Stein did something good. I think that
for once.
I mean, come on, Harvard grad, get it together. I think for me, I really don't think, if I'm being honest with myself, that it's going to change much. But I do hope that what it brings about is the knowledge that there is a lot of times in which our vote has no paper trail. There is, like, I know for Travis County, we use the Hart Intercivic Eastleigh voting system, which has no paper trail. You vote, it's logged, that's it. It's gone to the ether. I would frankly love a change. I want to know that our votes are being recorded and counted, and I'm hoping, I'm hoping basically that brings about that change.
Kara, what do you think?
So I actually donated to Jill Stein's efforts, and it was a very small amount. Like, I donated $11 because I was just like, I think there should be a recount, which the recount I don't think will address issues that I believe may have happened, such as hacking and influence from Russians, not to get to a conspiracy theory about it all. But I still think that anything to, recount the votes and make sure that everything is right and everything is correct, because of the fact that beforehand, all of the polls were leading us in one direction, and then things skewed so far. Like, polling is a fairly scientific process. So yeah, definitely, I think the recounts need to happen. And hey, apparently Trump agrees. So since he thinks it was all rigged as well.
Katie and Dex, where do you guys sit on this one?
As far as 2016 has gone, Jill Stein winning the election for Hillary Clinton would not be the strangest thing that has happened. I think. So, at that rate, we are A-okay on it. Again, it's kind of the same thing as the Electoral College. Like, I am not going to be devastated if it happens to work out in our favor. Do I think that it's actually going to change anything? Sadly, no. And that's just, the reality is, and I think we talked about this briefly last time, the elections in this country are ridiculous. It's the 21st century, and we really should have a better system for how we figure this stuff out than the way that we're going at the moment. So
yeah, this year with 2016, nothing's off the table. Literally nothing.
Yeah. I like Space Bears at this point. I am not.
Seriously, aliens could land in the front yard tomorrow morning, and I would just walk out and be like, "Well, it's 2016. It's fine."
You may not want to be. Right. I would suggest leaving.
Yeah.
Can I add something else too? I'm so sorry. It reminded me that basically there was more accountability at the slot machines in Vegas than there is in our voting systems. So I'm really, really hoping, I know it's a long shot, but that this really kind of brings about some kind of change.
Well, and, fingers crossed that it does do something. At the very least, show people that there's that many people willing to just, please, throw money at this. Anything to keep the idea of a Trump presidency from being a real official thing.
Well, and I think what it came down to with the discrepancy between the polling numbers and the actual voting numbers is people are ashamed to admit they voted for him. I mean, they didn't want to come out and say, oh yeah, I voted for that crazy guy. And so they're lying as they're coming out of the polling places. And I think that that's what it came down to. Nobody wanted to admit that they voted for him.
What does that say, though, about your candidate if you're almost embarrassed to tell people, yeah, I voted for Trump? I mean, of course, there are plenty of the people out there that, are going to be, shoving it down your throat at every possible chance. But, I mean, just the fact that you've got so many people out there that are, like, sheepishly like, oh, yeah, I did, sorry. And, I mean, come on. I mean, it's an election for the person who is going to be the leader of the United States of America. Shouldn't you, like, own up to that? And, I mean,
yes.
Come on.
Yeah, but America habitually has treated, like, who you're picking to win the voice is way more important than the president of the United States of America. So it's not much of a surprise at this point.
Well, here's what we're going to do. Next time we do this, instead of actually voting, we're going to send everyone in America a rose, and then we're just going to, the candidate that gets the most roses at the end of the night is going to win. It's something you can relate to, everybody.
Yeah.
God. This is brutal.
We'll have Ryan Seacrest, like MC the election.
Oh God, no.
It's like a week-long event. We could even throw all the election candidates into a gigantic stadium and have them try and kill each other. Wait, has that been done?
Oh, Hunger Games. Yeah, we could totally do that.
That seems really familiar.
You know what? But people would buy tickets and they would watch that, and it would be fun. Everybody would participate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
We'd get more participation in that one than the actual election.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? Let me tell you something. Buffalo Wild Wings would be having pay-per-view night. You could go in, there'd be drink specials and wing discounts. We'd be there. That's America in a nutshell.
Pretty much.
Well, any final thoughts on all that? But Wendy?
I read an article this week, actually today, talking about what history tells us about what may happen with Brexit. And one of the quotes in that just really stuck with me, especially in light of, our podcast here. And the quote was, "We need to avoid getting lost in arguing through facts and logic and counter the populist messages of passion and anger with our own similar messages. We need to understand and use social media, and we need to harness a different kind of fear." They're using fear, and they're using anger, and they're using populist messages. And unfortunately, those of us on this side of the argument have a tendency to go with facts and logic. And nobody wants to listen to facts and logic. And in the article, they were talking about how the liberal intellectuals are the ones who end up in the camps, because we do those arguments through facts and logic. And we don't appeal to that fear and terror that wins people over. And so we need to make people understand the fear from our side of things. And I think that's kind of where we have to go from here.
It's hard, and I was actually talking about this with you earlier. It's hard because unless you're totally cool with, like, unlike, Michelle Obama, not taking the high road, it's almost like fighting fire with a lot of these people in order to get them to see your side of things. And that's kind of a dark, dark way to look at it, but it's not untrue.
Yeah, so. I'm totally okay with that. Like, I'm still really, really angry about a lot of stuff, and I am still not really in the mood to sit down and have calm, rational conversations with anybody who thought that voting for this gigantic Cheeto was a good idea for either the country or themselves personally. Yeah. That listening to a lot of people on Twitter, especially people of color, who are just aghast that they're not even aghast. They're just like, you stupid white people. Like, this has been happening forever. Like, why are you surprised by this? And I think that's something that's really important for people to remember, is that this is not a new thing. The racism has been in this country. This country was built on racism. And that kind of attitude didn't ever go away. It just separated itself into socially acceptable messages versus socially unacceptable. Unfortunately, we're starting to see this slide back to where all that socially unacceptable stuff is being normalized. And I think, like, for me, one of the biggest things is focusing on self-care and focusing on it as a means to fight the normalcy of this whole situation. Like, it's not supposed to be normal. And reminding yourself of that and keeping yourself from getting exhausted with this endless fight that we are in is really, really important. Because eventually, you just want to kind of give up and go, okay, I'm done. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, I've had to do that a couple of times in the last week where I just have to shut myself off from everything and, take a couple of hours and, pretend that life is not on fire and and then come back to it and be like, all right, let's get back to work.
Yeah. Same here, ladies.
Yeah, it's a very scary and interesting time that we live in right now. Hopefully, I don't know, I really hope that things start taking a turn for the better. Sadly, I'm a little terrified they're going to keep going down this clusterfuck of a spiral that we're currently on. So yeah, I don't know. But there is still, lots of work to be done on our side of things. And there's lots that people can still do. And it's not over yet. And even if we do end up with, the tangerine presidency that we're, headed towards now, it's 4 years, which right now feels like an eternity. But in the grand scheme of things, I'll blink and it'll be Christmas next year, hopefully, if we're not in the camps by then. Either way.
It's funny because it's true.
Exactly.
But, so that's all I got, ladies. And that's all I got for this week.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
I think we're all burned out on turkey or something.
I would vote for that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good message just to remember, like Dex and Katie were saying, just to take care of yourself, just to try to do some self-care so that we can keep going.
That's true. I like that. I want to work on some self-care, except I got to go to work tomorrow. But after that's over, self-care immediately.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some letter writing to do. We're going to get our chin up, and it's going to be okay. Because it's got to be.
Go team.
That's right. Everybody get a hand in. Oh, yeah. Well, that is the show this week. If you guys like what you heard, definitely let us know what you think in the comments. From all of the nasty women on this show, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time. That's been Nasty Women Nation podcast.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.